It's Game 7 tonight. Moose and Barracuda comes right down to this final match to decide who the Thunderbirds are going to play in the finals for the Calder Cup. Hi, everyone. T-Sibs with you. We'll have others on a little bit later on as they join the show, but right now we're in the pregame show, and with me is the GM for the San Jose Barracuda, Ducks fan Waterloo. And Ducks, a very interesting series up to this point. Some really good gameplay in the first 4 games. And then last night happened. I don't want to, I guess I don't want to take too much time out on this discussion, but, I know you talked a little bit about it last night, and I want to give you another chance just to kind of reiterate what happened in Game 5 and what the issues were on your side and what you guys did. To talk about the forfeit in Game 5 and your attempts at trying to find somebody to help ECU in that game last night.
Right. So obviously, anytime there's a forfeit, it's really, it's an unfortunate circumstance. But I'm happy with the way the other GM, of course, Vibes, handled it. He wanted us to play it, and I give him a ton of respect for doing that. But the situation was kind of crazy. So all day yesterday, I knew we would need a right defense ECU and a goalie ECU. Our right defense, he's away on vacation, and our goalie, he has a bit of an ego, but he had a ton of work this week. I think he said he's working like a 70-hour work week or something. So he said he was too tired to show up for our games, which kind of sucks. So he needed an ECU too. So I spent pretty much all day yesterday. I think it was 2 or 3 hours just hunting down my ECUs, just messaging them on PSN, messaging them on the site just to see who's available. I think I have around 15 ECUs who are eligible for the playoffs, and only one responded to me. Actually, I guess 2. One, the goalie, and then the defenseman, who was the prime problem. Yeah, so closer to game time, I got the goalie ECU in the party, and the defense ECU, I messaged him 30 minutes before game time. He said he was good and ready to go. Game time rolls around, and he doesn't show up. So, of course, I'm spamming him with messages and invites, frantically trying to get him, also messaging every other ECU available, just to see if they can come play. Of course, no one responds. 9:53 comes around, and he finally responds to me saying he's on his way. So I let Vibes know, and I guess he told his guys. But of course, since he has to start up his PS4 in the game and all that, it took an extra couple minutes. I think we sent out the invite around 9:56 or something, and a second right before I was watching the stream. The second before our invite, our club challenge hit, or I guess got to them. Of course, Domi backs out, and they have to call a forfeit at that point. So overall, a really unfortunate situation, but I'm glad we won Game 6, so it wasn't too much of a defining moment in the series.
So what if anything, did that forfeit have an effect on your guys for Game 6? Obviously, you guys didn't play. Your line didn't play. That full line in Game 5 is pretty much what's going to play tonight for you. So obviously, you guys getting pumped up or angry didn't necessarily affect Game 6, but did it affect the guys who played that game?
Who played Game 6?
Yeah, do you think it affected them after what they saw in Game 5 with the forfeit?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, they figured it was a must-win. Of course, if we wanted to go to Game 6, so I'm sure they were pumped up. I wasn't really in their party because I was just trying to deal with the aftermath of the forfeit and all the questions, and I came onto your podcast, of course. But yeah, I'm sure they were amped up. I know a lot of their personalities, they'd be really ready to come and show what they're made of in Game 6.
And so, that game, of course, a close one, the Moose with a couple of ECUs, and you guys struggled for a good part of that Game 6 to get back into it. And, everyone was talking about after the game, the killer 98-79 just took over quarterbacking, as I put it last night. The team to on offense, trying to help set things up, trying to get your forwards to be able to move around a bit, and he just did a hell of a job setting things up, taking shots, getting pucks on net. Just phenomenal what he was able to do in taking the game over last night.
Yeah, I mean, if you watched the game, you saw he absolutely dominated that game. It'd be cool to see, like, if you could see how much time like a certain player has with the puck.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you take a look at our time on attack. We had 73% time on attack, and I'd probably say half of that was just from the killer. I mean, you mentioned it. He absolutely dominated that game. I think he scored I think it was the second, no, sorry, the first goal,
Mm-hmm.
and then he set up the second goal with 2 minutes left, I believe. So obviously he was a huge part of that, and he's played like that. Not as offensive, but he's played very very well for us in the playoffs. And he was on the Checkers team last season, season 4. He played with Loki. I think he went, yeah, he did he went sorry, he went undefeated last season in the playoffs, him and Loki. It's just in game 7 against the Wild he couldn't make it, but I'm glad he's getting recognition now because he's one heck of a defenseman.
And that same defensive pair going tonight, Killer and Loki, obviously they kept the Moose to 2 goals last night, only 4 shots on net, and obviously that's a big benefit when your defense can make that much of an effort to help reduce the chances. Is that one of the things that you find these guys back on defense are, is that part of their strong suit?
What's part of their strong suit? Sorry?
Just stopping the amount of shots that wind up hitting the goaltender.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I wish the block counter was more reliable than it is, because I'm sure both of them have at least 5 or 6 block shots each. They're an absolute monster pairing. They're honestly probably the best defensive pairing I've ever seen in the AHL. That I've personally watched. I haven't seen other pairings like Phillies MVP and Berger, but just from what I've seen, they're the best defensive pairing I've ever watched.
And you've got yourself, J-Cap, and Razor up front, and you guys obviously missed Game 5 because of the forfeit, but in Game 1, certainly, had a very nice game to open up the series to get you guys out in the lead with a shutout game, 7-0 in that one. Those kind of anomalies, I think, you can't count on that happening in a Game 7, and no. With Manitoba putting the line out that they have, pretty much the same line I believe they did for Game 7 in their last series. Obviously, you can't expect to have that same offensive output for this game.
No, definitely not. I mean, not too much disrespect to the Moose, but I think that was their third line. And I mean, if you go back and watch that game, I think we got just about every bounce. So we definitely can't expect to get every bounce again. It's going to be a lot more tough, I feel like. But I mean, we J-Cap, Razor, and I have played for 2 seasons now, so we have a ton of chemistry. So we definitely have the ability to explode again, but I don't think we're going to win 7-0. That's for sure.
And who do you have in net tonight?
New Okased. Been our number 1 throughout the playoffs.
Right, and no surprise there, but certainly. As crazy as some of those guys are in that lineup, in that last Game 7 that they played a pretty controlled game and a pretty smart passing game. What are some of the basic key concepts that you guys think you need to do to slow them down?
Obviously, against Nylander and Mafia, man, of course, you need to play tight to them. You can't chase them into the corners, though, or else they'll come out and just burn you. But you can't give them any space out there, or else they have the talent to make plays. But yeah, just playing close defense. We need the forwards to get back and back check. But if we stick to our game plan, I think we'll do pretty well.
Finally, what's your basic thought going into this final game? You've obviously had to come back and take 4 straight from the rain. How do you typically approach Game 7s?
Let's see. We obviously like to get a ton of practice games in with the full lineup, like an hour before. Actually, one thing we have been doing since going down 3-0 against the Reign, we actually start doing inter-squad scrimmages,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably a rare thing for other teams. But we actually get like 12 guys on and just play against each other for a couple games, and I feel like that really helps a ton. Just going against like actual like good players, I guess, not just dropping people or the odd club people you play against. So I feel like just preparing the right way is going to help us a ton here.
Listen, Ducks, thanks for your time today on the pregame show. Best of luck to you tonight, and whatever happens, I'm sure we'll talk later on. But again, you guys have had a hell of a season so far, and looking to see if you can continue this on, hit the cup.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for the opportunity.
Ducks fan Waterloo there on the pregame show, and joining me now, the GM of the Manitoba Moose. He'll be joining us tonight on the broadcast. Obviously, I think if there was one thing I knew for sure tonight is that Vibes would not be putting himself in Game 7. It's Vibes. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing better. No, I didn't put myself in Game 7. I didn't put anybody in Game 7, to be honest with you. This is their call, and tonight you have kind of. I think we're going to see a little bit more media vibes as he kind of turns the page back over to that side. Well,
I initially thought, I think the initial lineup that was in there did have Go Hawks, but Louis is playing tonight with Nylander and Mafia. Same defensive pairing and goaltending as we saw in the previous Game 7 that you guys played against Cleveland. These guys did incredibly well with Go Hawks in that Game 7. One of the things we talked about, me and Ducks, even before the pregame, is that these guys, I'm not even sure if it's a wild way of playing, but certainly Nylander and Go Hawks had a certain chemistry with Mafia. These guys were like marauders on the ice. Typically, but even in that Game 7 against Cleveland, while they did some of that, they played a very reserved game. They played a very smart game. It was a 4-1 victory, and maybe one of the better executed Game 7s I've ever seen. It's something about these guys that seem to understand that they have to play their game, but they can't be taking wild chances. And I think Mafia is one of those guys who really understands that. And certainly, Go Hawks and Nylander also bought into that in Game 7 against Cleveland. I would figure we're going to see a lot of that same thing tonight.
Yeah, I would expect so. Again, like I've been I've taken a step back here. But just from what I've seen and what I've heard, I still am in the team chats, and it still is my team. Right. But from what I've seen, I would expect a little bit of that. I haven't seen as much chatter in the last series. The last series, it seemed like everyone was invested. I don't really quite see that this time around, but I would still expect it to be pretty similar. From what I know, I can kind of give you like some really good insider information. Mm-hmm. From what I know, Go Hawks won't be there tonight. He's working apparently. It seems like Lewis 222 will be slotting in center with Mafia and Nylander on the wings. So we'll see how that plays out. I know Lewis has played center before. He doesn't really play center anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit curious for me. Lewis, I would say, definitely is not as good defensively as Go Hawks. So we'll see if the Barracuda can exploit that.
And have these guys had any time together at all, Lewis with Nylander and Mafia, ever in any regular season games?
No, none. This is just a product of who's available. Again, Timmy was around, but he really kind of didn't want to play because he kind of saw things the same way as me. Mm-hmm. So he really wasn't that enthused about playing. Go Hawks obviously isn't available from what I know, and it just so happened that Lewis is the best option, I guess, besides anybody else, and we'll see how it works.
Well, you guys certainly I mean, I want to go back before last night in the first 4 games and just talk about how things played out for your team and how the series was going up to that point. And obviously, I think we know by now that you like to have a good strategy plan for every series. You're flexible on it. I think that's pretty clear. But I think you had a strategy of what you were planning to do right from the beginning. I think one of the things you even mentioned maybe in the pregame the other night was, what games you're almost, if you get a win, it's a bonus. Otherwise, you're pretty much expecting a sacrifice in specific games. And I don't know if that's what a lot of GMs do. I venture to guess that that's not necessarily how a lot of GMs function in this league, thinking that they may wind up having to give up a game, but you're willing to do that. Why is that something that you can do that you feel okay about?
There's a way to approach things, you know what I mean? You can kind of approach it to where I feel like some GMs kind of get greedy. But like I've mentioned many times before, I kind of look at it as a chess game, And a lot of times in chess, the way that you win is by sacrificing your pieces. You just need to know what pieces that you can sacrifice, and you bait the other team in that way, and that's kind of how I look at it. And things don't always go your way. Sometimes you want things to go a certain way, but you have in the back of your mind that if this happens, this is my next move. And that's really how I look at these games, is where we might be playing game 2, but I'm already playing game 6 or 7 in my head. Right. And I think that's where a lot of people lose sight of it. This series in particular, I can highlight game 2. Game 2 was a moment where things definitely did not go my way. So after game 2, things were totally not going my way. But I had a backup plan, and I came at it with games 3 and 4. And I would say after game 4, I had the Barracuda exactly where I wanted them. And then, we know what happened after that. And once that goes on, I don't know, I can be kind of a superstitious guy at times. And, I believe in certain things. And I just, from that moment on, it just didn't feel right anymore. And it still doesn't.
Yeah, it's obviously we talked a lot about it last night, and certainly it's not something that you're you're a big fan of the way things went down yesterday, and certainly it's it's tough to, as we said, tough to play the entire season and then come down to something like that where all you work for is kind of gone. Is the load a little lightened today? Did you have time to think about it?
It is. I feel better. I feel kind of like I don't know. I guess when everything was going on, it's kind of just like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? And you take a little bit of time to sit and think, and you kind of get over it, because after all, it is only a game. Right. And I've kind of come to terms with the fact that my season is over. Whether or not these guys happen to win tonight somehow, I don't think they will. But whether or not the Moose do happen to win, my season is over. And I'll still go through the motions, and I'll still be there, and I'll still try to help them win. But in my mind, my season is over, because even if we were to, let's just say, win this game, we move on to the next round, and it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I'll never feel like someone said it best on my team. Jay Beal said it. J483 Beal. He said it best. It takes 16 wins to win a playoff, not 15, and we only earned 15 wins. So, or not even 15. I don't even know what the count is right now. But if we do go on and win the quote-unquote cup, we would have only earned 15 wins. And to me, that's not a cup victory.
This also means, I'm assuming, that that you're not going to play in any games in the next round should the team get to the Cup.
If they want me to play, I'll play. Like that's my obligation. If they want me to play, I'll play. And, I'll still be involved. Like, I'm not going to just turn my back on them.
Right.
I just, look, to a certain extent, like when I'm in GM card playing mode, I can kind of hide things and be a certain way. But at the end of the day, I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve too. Mm-hmm. And if I'm just not into it, I'm just not into it, And I would say that everything that transpired last night, I'm not really as into it as I was. I'll still be there, but just not as, I don't know, I can't fake it.
So let me see if I can try and clarify something, because I think I'm not really clear myself on it, and I want to, and I don't know how much of this you can talk about or want to talk about. At what point does it come out of your hands, the decision about forfeiting the game?
It never really comes out of my hands. Ultimately, it's in my hands. But you're left with the decision of, do you leave a team that you've managed the entire season short, and do you screw them over, or do you kind of bend with them and take the forfeit? And that's kind of the predicament that you put in, because ultimately, like, sure, I could have said, oh, I don't give a shit, we're not going that route, and we're not going to take the forfeit no matter what. Mm-hmm. But once your goalie walks out the door, what are you supposed to do?
Right. Well, we see the Barracuda are getting in the dressing room now. Team is there. I'm assuming they're sending out. I believe they're sending out the challenge. They're the home team for this one. And so it is going to be getting underway shortly. Thanks to Loki for providing the stream tonight, giving us the opportunity to be able to watch this game. And we will hopefully have this one underway. As you see, J-Cap Ducks fan, Razor Edge, who pretty much the lineup we saw in Game 1 going tonight for the Barracuda. Loki and Killer, who were magnificent in Game 6 last night. Killer, of course, really taking over the offense and getting things going for their team, to the point where they were able to get something going and be able to get something offensively going. So we will see these guys play in just a second. You're watching the AHLPSN playoffs, Season 5 here, in the final game of this match, as these guys get ready to play.
Mafia playing center.
So I guess they switched it off as Mafia and center, which I was wondering myself too, because Mafia can play that position. And officially on the lineups, they did change Mafia to center and Louis to right wing, Nylander on left. So probably a smart move. Mafia is pretty flexible. He can play anywhere for the most part. And I don't think it bothers him too much. He's like that. He's a pretty flexible player, and I don't think it's really much of an issue for him. So there's a guy who I don't necessarily I have a lot of respect for. He is not only a hell of a player, but just a good guy to get along with. Makes it fun for everybody, and I like that about him. And unfortunately, I hate to see him caught up in this as well, but it's he's I'm sure, as you know pretty as well as anybody, I'm sure there are other guys on this team who are probably saying, hey,
right,
we have to play this game, but why did it get to this point?
And honestly, that's what I'm worried about too. Because at the end of the day, like if I was to sit here and say, oh, I absolutely don't care and do not want them to win, I'd be a liar. Sure, there's a part of me that's kind of pulling for them. So I do kind of worry about the fact, how does everything that happened affect them? Because people don't realize that it's just, it's just bad karma. Like that's just the bottom line. It's just, I don't know if you believe in karma or who listening does, but it's just bad karma to do something like that. And I don't know. It just makes things really shitty. Not that the Barracuda are to be absolved completely, because at the end of the day, they did cause the situation.
Right.
But my team could have. Most of my team did. Most of my team did react a way that I would consider to be. They seem like they're backing out again. Most of my team did behave in a good way, but there were some that, could have been a lot different.
That's a curious back out. Everybody was there, and the only thing, and this is one of the things that I really hate that I see guys do. I saw them do it in the regular season. They're backing out because they don't like the ping that they're seeing. I'm not sure what the reason would be to back out at that point. But if that's the case, that's a problem.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the ruling is there. But if you're having trouble with connection, once you get in, I really don't know what the actual protocol is.
Yeah, that is absolutely. There's no rule against it. There's no real way to prove that, unless you have something from their stream, and I don't believe anybody on your side is streaming this one. So there's no way to prove it, but I certainly have seen guys back out of games because they don't like where they're pinging, and in a way, I kind of understand it in a way, because it's if you think you might lag out right away, you might as well restart it. So I get that.
And especially in an important game, you kind of want to have a good connection and things like that. But I guess you can kind of equate it to like the batter stepping out of the batter's box, asking for timeout or something. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's I could see doing it once. If some guy feels that they necessarily have an issue, but again, you got to play these. So it's. It's also another shortcoming of NHL and servers and the West Coast. We had some of this discussion last night off the air. There were just too many instances. There's been a lot of talk about EASHL or ESHL, whatever, and how a lot of guys could never take a league like that seriously enough, because unlike COD and a lot of these other games where you see league championships go on live on Twitch, they don't feel like the server response is nearly good enough to be able to do a league like that where people would take it seriously enough, because everyone still deals with lag in this game and on these servers. So I think that's one of the bigger issues that EA better deal with this game. If they want people to take it seriously enough, you've got to have reliability and connection that people don't say, well, shit, I'm just letting you know ahead of time, I'm on the West Coast, so I could be totally screwed. And that's what happens with this game.
Yeah, they should take just one installment, like maybe next year, to focus on nothing else apart from connection and gameplay. I don't care if I could swing my little stick around a little bit more than I could before, or the fact that I can pull the puck back and flip it over the goalie. That's all fine and good, and that's eye candy at the end of the day. Take one installment to where you're focusing on nothing other than connections and gameplay. Just smoothing out the gameplay, maybe calibrating the speed of the game a little bit, and just making sure that all the dots line up, so to speak.
Yeah.
Rather than worrying about all this little tidbit eye candy bullshit that they do every year.
Yeah, and quite honestly, the beta didn't wow me. I think a lot more was done in 17. I think this was a year off, unless we see something come out with the release. No. Seemed like it was phoned in.
A lot of people really liked the beta. I thought the beta was shit. I know certain people really, really loved it, and for me, it wasn't. So what? It's kind of like a wash.
Yeah, it's we'll see what happens in a little while. I mean, it's it's going to be out if you bought the deluxe, I forgot what the hell it's called, but one of the not the low version, but one of the deluxe versions. You'll get access on the 12th of September. Everybody else gets it on the 15th. So we'll see how things shake out. Hopefully you'll be with me. We're going to try and do a live broadcast that night at midnight when it comes out. Talk a little bit about what we're expecting with the game, and then start playing. And we're gonna hopefully have this on. We'll have it up on Twitch. We'll put a link on the website. If not, we may also do it on YouTube. We'll see how that pans out. But we're gonna be live when the game comes out, and hopefully get a chance to share our experiences with you all, and hopefully even hear from some of you while you're playing. Should be fun. I've now made it an effort to take the night off and take the day off from work and not get in there. So it's always fun to get there when the new game comes out. Looks like the Moose just got in before this invite expired. Nylander went green, now is maybe backing out again.
What is going on?
We'll see. He apparently, according to the shot box, may have been the one who had the issue. Now it looks like he's gone green. Both teams are ready, and we're going to start bringing this one to you. And again, thanks to Loki for bringing us the feed. And we will have a game for you any second now.
Maybe. I don't even know what's going on. Is he going?
Games take forever. Now it looks like now there is a disconnect again. So this is showing up to be an interesting matchup so far.
Let me see what I can get here.
Yeah, there's some discussion about, it's whoever is hosting it is slow, and maybe that's the problem. We'll see. I think Razor was captaining it last game, so I don't know if they plan on just going now. Razor's back in there at captain, so I guess if
from what I'm reading, Hawk showed up, but I don't know what that does. He's here now; he can play, but I think that ship has sailed, from what I understand. So,
yeah, again, we probably should have had the rules out here. Considering what happened yesterday, we probably should have been ready for anything tonight. I think Game 7 specifically has rules, and that's part of the problem here. You can't necessarily go swapping. So we will take a look at that. Meanwhile, the Ducks are trying one more time here, and we'll see if they're able to get themselves in. Meanwhile, we'll try and find out. Try and look at that and find out exactly what you're able to do for Game 7.
Yeah, well, it says that in Game 7s you can make as many roster swaps as you like, but I mean we're after game time now, so I don't know how that comes into play. So I don't even know.
Yeah, it's so again.
I guess we'll just see.
Yeah, they're showing up again. Nylander, last one in the room again. I mean, we've been seeing that consistently, so. He may not be getting the best connection, but very interesting. Still the same lineup. Playing
like they're going to go. Looks like we got a game, Sibs.
Finally. It's taking long enough for this one to start up.
Time to wake up.
And I'm just trying to see Game 5 and 6 exceptions. Don't really see anything else yet to really tell me what's going on. But anyway, let's just watch the game for once and enjoy this Game 7 between the Ducks and the Moose. And on the face-off right away, the Ducks controlling. Killer, who was a big part of this team's success last night in Game 6, gets it in the zone, but now comes back out again. And Nylander getting bumped off now. The Barracuda moving in with it, trying to set something up at the point. Back down low for Razor. Shot blocked in front. And now the Moose start out with it again. Just getting underway here in the first period. T-Sibs vibes with you. Glad you could join us tonight. Good opportunity and a good pass back to Razor, who pounds it home for the first goal for the Barracuda.
Barracuda got the edge early.
And I tell you
Not
what,
just on the scoreboard, but you can just see it.
if you've seen these guys pass, you know for sure that there is absolutely a, these guys, like you said, or like Duck said in the pregame, these guys have played a lot together. They have a certain chemistry. They practice a lot. This is the result of it. You're seeing guys making crisp passes, and right now, early on, playing like they always do with a lot of good communication. We've got Biggie now joins us from whatever Howard Johnson's he's in right now with his horrible connection, and hopefully he can stick around for this one. How's it going, Biggs?
Good. I'm probably lagging lots.
Oh, you're not bad. Just underway here. San Jose with 13:44 left to go in the first, up 1-0. Puck back to the point, shot blocked, and now coming back the other way, Nylander. Rister on net. Sid able to make the save now. Mafia controls. He gets it poked off his stick by Razor, and I'm sorry, it was Ducks actually. He got the first goal. Now a penalty on San Jose, giving the Moose a power play. Controlled. Mafia likes the quarterback. It's shot off the point. Nice blocker save there by Sid, and he's able to get it out and all the way back down for the Moose to reset. Poked into the zone now, flipped in, and the Moose chase after it. Behind the net, though, picked up by J-Cap. He flips it out, but that's going to be a penalty, and a 5-on-3 now for 47 seconds.
Moose have gained their footing here just a little bit.
Face off and flipped out of the zone by Loki. And now the Moose trying to start up again. 15 left to go in his 5-on-3.
Did you choose the lineups for tonight?
No.
No, it's pretty much the lineup, except Gohonks wasn't available initially. And so Louis was put in at center and then changed to right wing. So he's playing right. Nylander on the left. Mafia at center. Again, flip pucked in front, but the Ducks able to clear out. And with the 5-on-3, they still have a little bit of time left on the one-man power play. Maneuver inside. Good play by Mafia to get something going. But again, another penalty for San Jose as they continue to try and hold on. And Loki's going to be off now. As you can see, we're watching from the penalty box. Quick face-off, and now puck brought out of the zone. Now a 5-on-4 as the Barracuda get their man back. Now only one man short for this rest of this power play. Razor flips it out of the zone. Good penalty killing so far by San Jose in this match.
Yeah, they've been good on the penalty kill so far.
Again, another offside play as Mafia was not able to get back across the blue line in time for that to be onside. Minute left to go in this power play.
Indication of players that haven't played together at all.
We talked about that a little bit towards the end of the pregame. Louis, Mafia, and Nylander not necessarily having much, if any, time together, and they're going to have to find their chemistry during the game. That's never fun.
Yeah.
Power play over. As you see, teams are now even strength, and shot blocked in front. Nice play by Ducks. And Sid might have been a little bit out of position. If Ducks hadn't blocked that, that might have tied it up right there. So nice play on defense coming back from Ducks fan. Face-off one. Ducks gets it. J-Cap pretty good on the face-offs tonight as he carries in. Shot on net. Domi with the blocker save. Now flipped ahead as we hit the 5-minute mark in the first period. Still 1-0 San Jose. And the Moose having a little difficulty getting into the zone. That pass in front blocked. Good play there to try and keep it in by Louis. Now Mafia gets a pass off, tries to hit Louis with it, but can't. Picks it up again. Looking to find somebody behind the net. Louis tries to flip it around, but now taken out by J-Cap. Gets it up to Ducks. Flips it in front, nobody there. Mafia coming all the way back. Mafia playing that center position defensively the way you'd want him to, Vibes.
Yeah, on that play, he definitely was.
J-Cap steals, gets the puck in front. Loose, but tipped out. And now the Moose trying to regroup. Pass in front, and there's J-Cap picking up the pass. Nice play by Razor to pick up that loose puck and put it over to Cap to nail it home. And now 2-0 San Jose in front.
That's the type of team that San Jose has been all season. They're just an opportune team, and the opportunity's there. They pounce on it, and they take advantage.
Getting down to the final second here. Mafia gets it in front, but nobody's there to be able to pound it home. And we have a 2-0 lead for San Jose as we finish up the first period. And shots on goal, 4 apiece here. And really not too much difference other than the score. But very interesting. I think maybe you guys have seen this. Mafia's getting the puck. He's making passes. But like you said, the chemistry, knowing where your guys are going to be, knowing what Mafia's going to try and do, that chemistry just hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, it's not there.
And unfortunately, I think Gohawks not being there and then having to put Mafia at center definitely has caused some issue here.
I would agree with that.
We'll see if they can bounce back and make something out of this as the second period underway. J-Cap has it. Tries to go in front. Shot is partially blocked. Looked like pitcher got a stick on that. Now Mafia gets it out.
You've seen it a few times, though. The very second that the Moose make a mistake, it's turning into a scoring chance, and sometimes ending up in the back of the net. So.
A lot of good players, obviously, for the Moose tonight. But again, if you're not used to playing with each other, how quickly can you get it together and make something happen?
Yeah.
Cap wins the face-off, but picked up there, and Rap try is missed, and Mafia had an opportunity but could not get a clean shot on net. Now he's got it back. Looking for room. Back to the point. Now in front. Mafia again. J-Cap doing a nice job in that slot, blocking a lot of passes. And now Ducks comes the other way to Cap. Right over. Beautiful pass over to Razor, but Domi well positioned for that one to make the save.
All the dancing is nice that I see the Moose doing, but they're not really making any hockey plays. They're not cutting to the net. They're not taking opportune shots. It's just a lot of dancing and puck control, and it's not really equating to anything. That
offside was strictly J-Cap knocking Louis off offsides and not able to get back in time. The Moose on defense. Good play coming back the other way. Nylander tosses it in behind the net. Pass out in front. J-Cap there to intercept. He starts out with it. And now an offside there. Quite a lot of offsides in this game. Maybe a little bit slower than we would expect.
Yeah, I think you got two teams here that are working on, they're focusing on trapping the other, so it's been slow.
Back to the point for Killer. Tries to move in. Good defensive play, and now coming back the other way is Nylander. In the corner, picked up and quickly moved out by the Barracuda. Mafia trying to make it in. J-Cap really trying to shadow him and causing him all sorts of issues. And coming back the other way is Razor. Ducks tries to pick it up. Puck is still loose. J-Cap gets it back momentarily. Now Killer gets it across the other side for Loki. He's looking for room. Snaps one on, blocked. Good play, good defensive play by the Moose. And coming back the other way is Mafia. He gets tripped up on the play, and there will be a penalty and a power play again. As Ducks fan will go.
Capitalize here.
Face-off one now. Fought for behind, and good play by Loki to not give it up and come out of the corner with it. And yet another whistle. Biggs, what are you seeing at this point?
I'm surprised, actually, with mostly JCap's play. I find he moves the puck very well, and I don't really know the guy, so, I mean, I guess it's not surprising if they put him in Game 7 that he's going to be good, but I like to see... I like how he's playing center, and I'm not going to pick on Mafia Man, because he's obviously not a center, but JCap's a little more effective.
He's taunting Mafia at this point after an offside. And JCap, I heard a lot of talk about him. A lot of guys talking about him in the shout box after a few games in a couple of these series and how good he is. And very easily could wind up in the NHL next season. It'd be interesting to see. Not only a good player, but, my experience has been just good in the fact that a lot of guys feel he's a good teammate. And, very happy with him. I know Ducks is thrilled with him, obviously.
My only run-ins with him so far, he's been a total dick, but that's just my experience.
Yeah, but that's most of your run-ins, isn't it?
It's been a what, sorry?
He's been a total dick from what I know of him.
We'll leave that judgment up to you for your own experience.
That's just my opinion.
We're heading down to the 4-minute mark here in the second period. It's been pretty much all San Jose. Another good shot off a face-off, and Domi just happened to be in the right spot, moved to his right to get there and make the save. And again, San Jose back in the zone again. Long pass broken up by JCap. Offsides was Mafia anyway, and JCap defensive playing offenseman tonight. Big part of the reason why Moose are off the board right now.
Moose got nothing.
Opportunity there by Nylander. Pass in front, and finally a good shot on goal, but Mafia again getting a pass where it needs to be, but the defense is there, and they're shutting down a lot what's happening in front of the net.
Yeah, all those little forces that the Moose got away with last game, they're not getting away with it this game. Meaning last game 7 versus Cleveland.
Puck fought for in a corner now, getting under 30 seconds here as the Moose trying to get it out. Down to the last few seconds. Nylander, one more opportunity, flips it on net. Sid makes the stop and pushes it to his right. Good play there, and this period will end with the Ducks now up 2-0. And
Barracuda.
The Moose seemingly needing to get some real offense going. They, shots on goal, 9-6 in favor of the Moose. You would think that San Jose has had more opportunities, only a few more seconds more on time of attack, but the numbers don't necessarily bear out what we're seeing at this point, Biggs. It really seems like San Jose is in control of this right now. Third period about to start up. And the Moose looking to try and
referenced me and I lagged there.
Not a problem.
He was like, Biggs. Biggs.
Shot on net. A good block there by the killer. And now Ducks and JCap, a 2-on-1 moving. Ducks gets in front. JCap had the opportunity, could not get a stick on it. And now back the other way is Nylander, trying to take advantage of the quick play back the other way. Mafia tries to get in front. JCap again there defensively to make a play.
Barracuda just closing off everything the Moose tried to do.
You look at that grouping, 5 guys back all the time. Nobody's cheating. Unless they think they're going to get a pass, then they may move, but they're back playing defense. Everyone below the second circle, right?
What you got to do is you got to send a forward up the board. Just keep them honest. This way you can get underneath them.
Nylander.
Yeah.
Shot in front.
I call
Again,
that the loops play, by the way.
You got to back them up a little bit.
good try in front, but again, puck just behind Razor and Ducks. This one's going to be an icing. And then quickly the time is whittling down.
It's a good chance to break the... Can't be getting icings on easy zone entries.
Pitcher trying to find someone. Shot goes wide. Mafia behind the net. And short angle goal as Sid not holding the post well enough. And Mafia taking advantage of that, slamming one home. Goaltender's nightmare right there.
I thought it was Nuo Kid.
It is. No, Sid.
Yeah,
no
I
kid.
just call him Sid for sure because I'm not going to say the whole name.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that was his full name.
Yeah, I was told how to pronounce it once. I don't remember.
On the website, it's just straight up Nuo Kid.
Yeah. Now the Moose are pressuring more and getting more opportunities in front. And San Jose moving out with it. Ducks. Gets knocked off it by Mafia. Tries to throw it up to Louis, but can't connect. Loki. Cap. Poke check there. Now Killer holding on to it. Ducks with an opportunity. Rebound not quite clean enough for Razor to make something out of that. Now coming back the other way, the Moose. Louis trying to get past Loki. Comes all the way around and now taken back out by the Barracuda. Cap tries to stay on side, but this one will get blown back for a face-off outside the zone. Timeout being called, obviously now by the Moose. 6:33 left to go. Down by one.
I'm quite impressed with how good Loki is as well. I didn't really get a chance to really scout him out. I think between the two defense for San Jose, he's the more solid player. The Killer played good last night, but he's definitely the weaker link between the two tonight.
One shot on
that
goal.
That wasn't obvious after the 3 turnovers he had in a row there.
Right. One shot on goal this period for the Moose, but it was the one that went in. Now back the other way. Razor, one on net. Not a good clean rebound to work with, but Ducks trying to get control. Taken there by Beal as he tries to work it up. Misses Mafia with a pass, a little too hard. Pitcher trying to keep it in, but that gets cleared out.
It's another chemistry thing.
Beal back with it. Now bringing it up as we approach the 3-minute mark here in the third period. Moose looking to tie it. Mafia controls, gets knocked off. A nice play by J-Cap. And he'll look to toss it in. A little quickly around the board. And now comes back the other way for the Moose. Louis. Nylander controlling. And good defensive play there by the Killer as he tries to find an outlet. 3 men on him. And not able to quite clear it out. Mafia has it. He gets poked off his stick. And now J-Cap gets it up for Razor. Killer there leading up. And they better be a little more careful as we're under a minute now. 40 seconds left to go in this period. And the Moose looking to try and tie this one up. Mafia. He's going to look to move as much as he can and dangle. And that one gets away as they gang up on him. Now he gets it back.
The puck too long.
Mafia in the corner looking to get it out. Good defensive play there. Really needed to stay on him, and they have. 15 seconds left to go. J-Cap moving in with it. 3-on-0, and Cap could not put it in as good stop by Domi there. Nice play to not get too riled with that many guys bearing down, and he makes a save. 10.9 left to go. This is it. Moose need to get the puck back, and so far they can't get out of their own zone. Now it's finally knocked out. Now Mafia comes in, looks to put one on net. He does, and that one goes in.
Wow.
And a 0.2 seconds left to go.
Wow. Holy
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
Wow.
I was just queuing up my don't call forfeits, kids, and that happened.
Nylander gets credit for the goal to tie this one up at 2. And we're going to overtime in Game 7. And talk about just trying to get the puck in front to make something happen. That's exactly what Mafia did.
Holy fuck.
As you see, shots on goal still in favor of the Moose right now. And time on attack, you see how much it jumped up here just in the third period. Almost a 2-minute difference since they were down a good 15 before that. A good 15 seconds have taken in the third period in this one and tied it up.
Just put me out of my misery, for fuck's sake.
I wonder if the Barracuda are going to change their play. They've been turtling for the past, period and a half. They're going to come out with a little more offense, probably a little more forechecking.
Well, now
should have kept it that way in the first place, but I get playing defensive.
Moose are playing with house money at this point as we see the puck deep in the zone. Razor gets it on front, had J-Cap, but Jay could not get a shot there. Looked like Loki might have hit his PS4 button.
Yeah, don't do that.
Play in front now. Can't see much of the play just yet. We'll get that back, but Ducks gets it in front. Puck is loose. Razor tries to get a shot off. He can't get it. And now back the other way. Moose half numbers. Will this be icing? It will be. Bad pass out. They had a 3-on-2 going there, but could not connect.
Big advantage for the Barracuda on this faceoff.
J-Cap wins it back. Shot blocked in front. Ducks gets it. He gets tripped. That'll be a penalty coming up.
That should do it.
This has not been a reserved overtime by any stretch of the imagination. Ducks in front. Actually gets poked off, I think, a bit by Razor Edge there and not able to get a clean shot off. Domi had a late save in that third period, and that kept this game at 1. Looked very much like that T-Bird Hershey game. Shot hits a defenseman. Now Ducks takes it, puts another one wide. Looks to get it back out to the point and does so. Still controlling with a minute left to go in this power play. Back out to Killer. He gets a shot off, but not a very good one. Now on a break. It's Mafia. Gets a shot. Takes a straight clapper and not able to put it by. And now coming back the other way, the Barracuda. Almost a shorthanded game winner there. Now Mafia comes back the other way. Loses the puck. Ducks back now. Back and forth playing the overtime. Fraser. Still holding on to it. Trying to find somebody. Gets it back to Killer. Shot. Good glove save there by Domi. And he holds. Face off, not one. Tried to keep it in, but now Killer gets back to help out defensively. Shot thrown on net, and Sid getting knocked out of the net there, but able to get it out of the zone and coming back the other way. And the Moose will regroup and try and start back out as this overtime period is halfway over. Nylander controlling, tries to get it across to Louis. Had an opportunity there, could not connect.
Almost had him.
Icing now as the Moose will get it back the other way.
Don't matter. They can't win a faceoff.
Timeout being called here. I'm assuming by San Jose. As you see, shots on goal. Time on attack now has evened up a good deal as San Jose has caught back up. It's been
with all the controversy that's gone on, it's actually been a pretty good game. You have to at least say that.
Absolutely. And an overtime game in Game 7, that's, as a fan, that's what you want to see. Face-off one, but by the Moose, but the Barracuda come out with it. Razor trying to wait for Ducks to get back on side, but play called. Ducks controls. He's met with a couple of Moose players, and now they will start back with it. Ducks intercept the pass, and now Loki to Killer. Killer works his way in, gets a shot off. Ducks can't get the rebound. Now the Moose back the other way, Nylander. And there is the game winner. Killer lost his stick. He was not able to make a good defensive play on that one. And that is the game winner for the Moose. And the San Jose Barracuda had this going into the third period. And the Moose bared down and came back and won this one 3-2 in overtime. And just, it was one of those games where you just needed one thing to go wrong. And unfortunately, it was the Killer losing his stick on that play and not able to really defend on that pass. And before you knew it, it was over. Just a hell of a comeback by the Moose in this one.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, tough one. Tough game there for the Barracuda, who seemingly had this one for most of it and just could not finish it out. And that's gonna haunt them a little bit in this offseason. But the Moose move on. Yeah, the Moose move on and will play the Thunderbirds in the finals. And when I say Thunderbirds and Moose in the finals, Biggs, does that sound right to you?
It's no. I don't think that's what anyone was expecting, to be honest. But I mean, both teams deserve to be there.
No, we don't.
Well, one team deserves to be there more
better
than the other, but that's what I'm kind of scared about,
Let me rephrase though. Hold on, I want to say something. We would have been there in 6 had we not fucking forfeited them in 5. But now we had to go to 7, don the Scarlet F, and we go there anyway. Before I was mad at Domi, now I'm going to kill him.
Well, unfortunately, a win's going to make him believe that he did the right thing. So it's a bit unfortunate. But,
I think it's in the favor of the T-Birds that the Moose win, just because nothing to do with skill, but just because of all the drama along the team. I think the T-Birds really have, everything's been flowing for them. And like I said last night, everyone's on the same page. Everyone's getting along. They're going places. And the Moose, well, they're not quite in the same boat. So we'll see if their sheer talent can beat the chemistry and cooperation of the T-Birds.
I thought Killer lost his stick, but he actually didn't. He just could not poke that. He could not poke that play off. And we're gonna just take a look at the replay of the final sequence here. As he made it into the offensive zone, then got back, tried to take on Nylander, and Nylander found a wide open Mafia in front, and JCap just not able to do anything with that and block it off. And unfortunately, it winds up being the game-winning goal. And wow, just good positioning on that play. Mafia found the slot to be.
Dude, I'm laughing at Magic Man 13 in the shout box. He goes, "That didn't just fucking happen." Join the club.
Oh boy. This is wow, an amazing win. Considering all that went on, considering not having Go Honks there, give credit to Louis for stepping in. And you know what? That chemistry that might have been lacking early in the game, even through maybe 2 periods or a period and a half, they found it. In the end, Nylander and Mafia were able to hook up, and certainly in that third period and in overtime, Louis found his place on ice and got a couple of opportunities that were pretty solid. So, they actually found a way to get that chemistry together, Biggs, and they held off the Barracuda. If the Barracuda had been able to get up 3-4-0, it might not have been that easy for them to come back, but they held them off defensively enough And like I said, Domi, a very late third period save on basically what was a 3-on-0. Big play in that one to keep them within one just before that tying goal.
I gotta say, like, you have, a low-scoring game, and pretty much every single one of the Moose's goals were individual effort plays. Mafia scores a goal by himself. The tying goal was, it is what it was. And even the last goal, like, your sheer talent players can win you games sometimes, even if it's the most bullshit things. And that's what happened tonight. You had a player like, I would honestly say MVP. I don't know if they put up 3 stars yet, but Mafia Man carried the Moose to victory tonight. And
he did.
Regardless if it was a little bit of luck, the guy's playing out of position, and he did whatever he had to do to tie them up. And you got to give him credit for that, even if it's not the prettiest win. A win's a win. And I would say shame on the Barracudas for they stopped playing their game. They, as soon as they were up 2-0, it was let's play defense. And I don't think the Barracuda is a defense strong team. If they would have kept up their offense, their offensive play, kept the pressure going, I think that game, they probably would have blown that game out of the water. You probably would have been up 4 or 5 goals, and especially against a team that can't put enough pucks in the back of the net due to, lack of team chemistry. You just let them take as many shots on net instead. So
shots go ahead.
That was a classic Mafia backpack. I just want to put that out there.
Well, he did that more than once for Hershey last season. I can tell you that, and that absolutely. That absolutely was a Mafia-driven offensive surge there.
Yeah, that was all Mafia. I mean, he won that game. He beat the Barracuda by himself. The defense too. My 2 defensemen, Beal and P-Swag, played a good game. And Domi. But other than that, it was all Mafia.
Yeah, Domi absolutely, again, made some saves second half of the game that were big, that were pretty big saves, and that absolutely contributed to this victory tonight for the Moose. Again, this is, you see these games where a team does not look like they have really controlled the play at all for most of it, and somehow are able to stay in there. The fact that it was only 2-0 after 2 was a bit surprising. It seemed like San Jose had more opportunities, maybe didn't take enough shots. But then again, a lot of them were blocked, as you mentioned, by your defenseman there for the Moose. And I think that was a big reason, why the Moose were doing so well. Domi, Pitcher, and Beal back there on defense, getting help from Mafia, who was coming back and playing as well. That defense kept it within 2 after 2 periods. Maybe San Jose got a little weary about saying, hey, we probably should be ahead 4-0 in this game right now. We haven't done that yet. What do we have to do to get past this?
We've been doing this for a long time, and I don't know we've ever seen a goal scored like that with 0.2 seconds.
Well, Thunderbirds, Hershey Bears had a 0.2 goal. So that was a very similar situation where Musapotamus made an amazing save on a clear breakaway and Kepler doesn't want me to talk about it because it was him on the breakaway, and they came right back down, quickly scored with 0.2. Unfortunately for the Bears, they lost it in overtime, but kind of a similar situation where you get down to the last few seconds and guys, for some reason, I don't know, maybe let up a little bit. I'm not saying necessarily that San Jose let up, but it was a clear opportunity for the Moose very late in the game, and they were able to pound it home. They had some open ice there on the other end, and just barely got a puck in front of the net, and a play made to be able to pound it home. Nylander able to tie it up with that goal.
Yeah, I mean, Great game. I mean, the game itself was amazing, and you know, I think we want to stay focused on the game itself right now. We don't want to talk about other things, but the game itself was incredible, and you know, what a way to pull it out like that. Amazing. I don't know. I guess I'm at a loss for words in regards to the game itself.
The matchup coming up. Let's talk about that for a couple of minutes before we get out of here. Moose and Moose and Thunder. It's kind of choking me in the throat a little bit. I have to get some water. Moose and the Thunderbird having to play this final game.
You know what, Sibs? You know what? And this is why I hate what went on last night, because I can't even talk shit like I'd like to talk shit right now, because I would love to tell everyone that I told you the Moose were the best team in the league all year. But I feel like it's cheap, like it's been cheapened, so I can't even really say it.
Well, you know what? Whatever anyone wants to say, even from your own team, here's a fact that they can't deny. You put the team together. So this team wouldn't be in this position if you hadn't done everything that you did up to Game 5. They can. I'm sure a lot of these guys are going to take credit for this win, but the credit goes to you. The bottom line is this team is there, and these guys are all together because you put them there. They've done a hell of a job as a team to get there, but they're all on this squad because of you. So if anyone tries to discount what you've done, it's pretty stupid, quite honestly.
Well, I'm more talking about the fact that we were gifted a win is more what I'm talking about. You know, like I can't really say, I told you it was coming. I told you it was coming. I feel like it's been cheapened. But anyway, I don't want to harp on.
Well, and there are still plenty of guys, obviously, who we're on your side, obviously, with this, and I'm sure that they are just as excited as everybody else on the team who want to get to the finals, and this is an opportunity for them, and they're going to go up against a Thunderbird team that has played some damn good hockey. Again, knocked off Hershey, knocked off Syracuse with relative ease against Syracuse, and they are on an incredible hot streak at this point, Biggs, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we want to make predictions just yet, but the Moose obviously are an incredibly good team, but the Thunderbirds are riding high right now as well.
I don't know if I want to put in an actual prediction.
Right.
But I'll put it this way. If the Thunderbirds can win in the first 6 games, that's their only shot. I do not think that the Thunderbirds can compete whatsoever with the Moose in a Game 7.
And Vibes, I kind of said this to you the other night before Wednesday night's game. I think I actually said it to you during the day Wednesday. I said, you guys need to take one of two on Wednesday, and you're in good shape, because you're going to go with that. At the time, I'm thinking, go Hawks, Mafia, and Nylander. Go Hawks not playing tonight, but to me it was pretty obvious that was going to be your lineup. Your same Game 7 lineup you had in Cleveland made total sense, and that you guys would have just as good of a chance of winning this game as San Jose. And I think that probably lends to why you kind of feel that way. You would have preferred to have had to either win or lose that game the way you did, and then get yourself to Game 7 because of an earned win. So I get that, but your team absolutely, to me, and I agree with Biggs on this as well. T-Birds better win this one in 6, because they're. To be quite honest, I like the T-Birds. I think the Barracuda had a better lineup to win this one tonight, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, we just beat the Barracuda with a makeshift Game 7 lineup. That's not even a Game 7 lineup. That's a guy who doesn't really play center, mixed with 2 guys who he's never, ever played with before. Coming in and beating a team's Game 7 lineup, that's what that was. So,
I'd still call it a Game 7 lineup. I mean, it's not your
My
best
line,
game
the
set.
lineup that we had.
I mean, if you don't have Go Hawks in your team, that's probably the line you're putting out. And
No,
or
absolutely
maybe
not.
Timmy's, maybe.
Yeah, it definitely would have been Timmy, and it probably would have been Timmy, Nylander, and Mafia on the right wing. But to move Mafia Man to the center, throw Louis out there, and not have Timmy or Go Hawks or a natural center on the ice anywhere, that's definitely a makeshift Game 7 lineup.
It is, but I think it's still good because you have a player that is very versatile and has great hockey sense. So I mean,
well, raw
you're at a
talent
disadvantage.
wise, yes,
You're at a disadvantage.
Raw talent wise, but in terms of just sheer throughput, yeah, for sure, like definitely. But in terms of personnel, not at all.
Well, even just looking at some comments about the play, and even Bacon Blitz was sort of saying maybe we should have kept the forecheck up a little bit more instead of pulling back and, as you guys were saying, turtling. I think actually Big said that. He's calling it a killing the momentum, basically. And you know what? We see that in regular hockey. We see teams going to a defensive shell. How many times do we see them get screwed over by not really forechecking hard enough? And, you know, maybe that was the case. I kind of think maybe just before that go-ahead goal, that winning goal in overtime happened, we saw Killer deep in the zone and then trying to get back. He did, but even if you get back, you're kind of throwing off the whole balance of what they were doing the whole game, which was bunching up in the middle, staying ahead of the play instead of chasing it. And when you have to go and chase Nylander and chase Mafia to get in front of him in the slot, you're gonna have a hard time winning that race, and that's pretty much what happened in that last goal.
Yeah, that's basically it. It summarizes it perfectly. And I'm just reading the shout box right now, and the sentiment from my team, and in fact, Mafia Man, I see Pitcher, they're both saying that San Jose kind of deserved that game, and I kind of agree with that in a lot of ways. They kind of did, but like you're saying, they pulled back, and just a misjudgment in management, coaching, whatever you want to call it, just a misjudgment, and they let the game get away from them.
And I would agree with Pitcher Swag in there saying that they 100% deserved it till they tied up and they controlled OT. I agree. I think the Moose absolutely controlled OT and really just did just did a hell of a game, taking the momentum over, and it really looked like a different team in that overtime. I mean, San Jose had some really good opportunities in that overtime, but you could see them pressing. You could see, there's a fine line between being apprehensive in overtime and pressing, and I think maybe they might have gone too much the other way, Biggs, and pressing a little too much, and then leaving themselves open. I think in the third period, we saw the Moose do that where they were waiting for an opportunity and Nylander was waiting for a pass on the boards, waiting to break the play out a little bit quicker. They started to do that a little more. That wound up being the final play in that game. And maybe the Barracuda were a little too aggressive in overtime.
Yeah, I think that's their normal play, and you can definitely get punished, and they're definitely a high-scoring team.
Right.
And it's tough to be in a scenario where the next goal wins. Both teams had their chances in overtime. I mean, you played turtling for a period and a half, and like they were saying, it's not just the momentum you're killing, but now you're going into a fresh new period where the other team is pumped up and whatever they're doing is working, so they're going to keep that up, and you have to change your play style because you've been playing defense for 2 periods. Now you have to go on the offense. You have to change your forecheck, and maybe they went a little too aggressive, like you said. And if that's their normal style, if that's how they scored their first 2 goals, in their minds, perfect. That's how they're going to play, and that's how they're going to win. But
right.
all it took was one bounce or one bad play in the offensive zone, a turnover, and a nice breakout pass, and you got an odd man rush going the other way that turned into a goal.
So with that in mind, again, going back to the final, to the Cup Series, did we see a bit of a blueprint of what the Thunderbirds need to do, at least in the first two periods? Did the way that the the way that the Barracuda played for at least the first two periods of that game, really most of the third as well, quite honestly, is that a blueprint for what the T-Birds need to do? Do they need to jam up the middle to come back to make sure that they're not necessarily always waiting to break out offensively?
You asking me?
Yeah. Well, go ahead. You take it first.
Honestly, I don't really know.
Yeah, at this point, I think maybe the Barracuda thought they had a good defensive plan. It worked pretty damn well for a while, even into the third period. And still, when you got a guy like Mafia, I think he's the wild card vibes. I think whatever happens in any of these games, I think if Mafia can win his games and get you guys to a Game 7, again, I think that's where the Thunderbirds should be concerned. And I think Mafia is the big key in the series coming up.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, if we get good play out of Mafia and his entire line, just in general, his entire line, in theory, we can brute force the T-Birds in 4 games. Meaning 4 series-long games. I don't mean, obviously, my line has to play a game. Mm-hmm. So they get a little bit of a break there, but if my team is playing at full strength and they've got everything clicking, we can really brute force them in a 4-game span, and there's nothing they can do about it. But we'll see what goes on.
I think your line has the best chance in any series now to win a game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Biggs. If we do win a game, like if we upset them, if we win a game, the series might end in 4.
I wouldn't say that though, because the T-Birds do have one line that is slightly better than the rest. I don't know which players they were, but whatever line played in that Game 6 found ways to make plays to put the puck in the back of net, and really quickly too, and really effectively. They scored, I think, I don't know what it was, 3 goals in like 5 minutes. It was, they were really offensively strong. So I could say that lineup is probably your scariest lineup. But the other 2 lines, I just look at them as, 2 second lines that are playing above average right now because of, the momentum, and their chemistry's clicking. And if your line does something funky, very possible to beat.
Listen, woe is me. Listen, buddy, I know you find me funny, and I know you're trying to take a shot, but just leave Vibes alone, okay? Because you don't want to wake me back up again, because I'll have you all chasing your fucking tail. So let's just calm down.
Yeah, actually, that's forget Mafia, man. That's the key to this win. If fucking Vibes wakes the fuck up.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think you give Vibes a few days. He'll be back on the horse again and playing these games. And hopefully, I really hope, quite honestly, Vibes, after all is said and done in the last 24 hours, I hope you and your guys can bury the hatchet and just get back to playing the game, get past this, and get back to the goal of what you all were trying to accomplish before everything happened last night.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm happy. I'm just, like I said in the YouTube chat, I'm happy, but I feel mixed at the same time. Like, I am glad. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I am happy, and I'm proud of my team, and I'm glad what they were able to accomplish here. But there's, like I said all day, there's a little bit of taint. It is tainted just a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with me. But woe is me. Leave me alone, because I'll have you sniffing your own ass by Game 3.
All right, guys. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? I'll let Biggs go first, and then we'll let Vibes cry before we leave this broadcast.
My final thought's gonna be a prediction.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna predict.
Oh boy.
That in Game 6,
Mm-hmm.
the T-Birds win it all.
Okay. Vibes, I'm not going to ask you to make a prediction because I still think it's biased at this point, but and maybe not in a good way. Just give me one important cog that has to fall into place for this Calder Cup championship for the Moose to win it.
Everyone to show up on time.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. T-Birds, you guys better be there for these games because if anything happens, I'm telling you, I am not taking your side on this. You've had ample warning after Game 5 yesterday.
At this point, we've already forfeited a team once, so we might as well just jump in, you know?
Exactly. All right, guys. Again, thanks for joining the broadcast tonight. I appreciate you being here. Another interesting final game.
Yeah, it was amazing. And Vibes' final thought: show up on time and don't forfeit people.
There you go.
And make sure you wear sunblock if you stay in the sun for too long.
That's Biggs. That's Biggs on the left, Vibes on the right. I'm T-Sib saying so long for this evening. Again, in overtime, the Moose beat the Barracuda, and move on to the Calder Cup Championship against the Springfield Thunderbirds, and that will start on Sunday night. We will bring you all the games live for the finals coming up this Sunday. Have a good evening, folks, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night with our regular Friday night show.